Steve Frog fan here. It is inevitable. Unequal shares. If revenues will come, Ohio States of the world will finally tire of the Rutgers of the world making, there's another Rutgers inference, making the same. We've even heard that the speculation, the Big 12, if they wanted Washington and Oregon, they'd have to give, no, they're not going to give them an out. They're not going to give them more money. Hell no. And neither would any other conference. Now, Notre Dame might be one of the wild cards because of their value. And even then, that creates what the Big 12 had for many, many years, where there was a lack of trust, when there was the haves and have not getting more than the others. And eventually that thing broke up too.
Did you just rule out Oregon and Washington getting more of a revenue share? Because I think that could very well happen with the Pac-12.
Big 12.
Okay,
no, if another conference. That's and
I was going to say, that's very much a possibility right now. So, you're speaking specifically to the Big 12. Okay.
Someone had mentioned, and there's been even if they want to, remember Andy Staples made the comment that let them come in, but they have an open door. If in fact, then the Big 10 calls, that still is like leaving your door open at night. There was a time when you grew up, you could do that. You can't do that anymore. You can't even go out and play in the front yard much anymore.
No, but in the Big 12, that's not happening. It would have to be Notre Dame. I mean, and even then, I think others
ACC
would,
or whoever. Right?
Yeah, or anybody. I'm sure the SEC or Big 10 might balk at that and say, no, we're not going to give you more of the pie. But I think, what are we talking? I mean, that's a whole nother hour of conversation, is like, what would that even look like if Notre Dame needed to make 10% more than everybody else? Would Ohio State and Michigan say, no, we'll throw away all the benefits because we can't stand making any more less than you? Like, I could see where that would become a problem. But, yeah, they're the school that could do it basically anywhere they go. And maybe, the SEC or Big Ten would balk somewhat. But, who's going to put up the fight? It would be the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Oklahomas, and those schools. Vandy's not going to stop that, or, any a majority of the Arkansas is not going to do anything about what Notre Dame wants to do or not. So they would be the exception, yeah.
I would think there's no way in hell the Big Ten or the SEC, no matter who are their members, would give Notre Dame more than what they're getting to join either one of those conferences. I could see that perhaps with something else. And again, if we look at Notre Dame, if you look, it's not the Big Ten or the SEC, you would think the ACC is the one because they already have that current relationship. Well, I can't even see the Big 12 right now, no matter who they could possibly get. And Notre Dame, Washington, or Oregon, they're not going to get more than what those who are here now or coming in next year are getting. Not going to do it.
No, because part of the thing that ripped the Big 12 apart at its core is it had unequal revenue sharing. And the unequal revenue sharing was tolerated until you had one entity going out and finding other ways to create unequal revenue sharing and advantages that other schools just didn't want to put up with, and that was the Longhorn Network. And not even namely just the Longhorn Network, it was the fact that the Longhorn Network was just brazenly saying, we're going to go put high school games on our channel, and if the guys we're recruiting want to be on the Longhorn Network, we're going to go cover those games, and upended the whole thing, at least for temporarily for the Big 12. So that's why it won't happen, because the core of the Big 12 has been through that before and doesn't want to do it again, especially not for someone not to knock Washington and Oregon, but for someone who's never done anything for them before.
Yeah, revenue share is not happening for those schools. I said that yesterday. They are. I don't know what idea people have in their minds. This is us breaking from reality again. But the idea that they somehow it could stand over Oklahoma State and Baylor and look their nose down at them. They're not in a different ballpark than those. They might have more people population wise. They might have a better TV rating, but they're not going to walk into a room and act like they're Texas. I mean, that's laughable. And anybody who thinks that they're going to go into the Big 12 potentially and act that way and get their way, that's comical to me. There's no chance of that happening.
No, I don't think it is either.